LeBron James is a better shooter than Michael Jordan. This is a fact, and no one can deny it. Did you know inside the three-point line, James has shot over 54% for his career, while Jordan shot around 51%, while it could be argued that Jordan took more shots and could be hand-checked, which gave Jordan fans a valid point, but they've forgotten that teams could not play zone defense against him. Behind the three-point arc, there is no argument here. Guys, Jordan was a 32% three-point shooter on 1.7 attempts per game for his career, while LeBron James has consistently been over 34% on 4.0 attempts per game. And this is something most of you have forgotten: the NBA moved the three-point line closer to the basket during the 1995, 1996, and 1997 seasons to increase scoring, which helped Michael Jordan. Are you aware LeBron James is a better passer than Michael Jordan? LeBron is often accused of passing too much, while Jordan was never criticized for it. This point is non-debatable, really. Should we also talk about the fact that LeBron James is the more complete defensive player? Michael Jordan was definitely an outstanding defender, but he was not given the toughest defensive assignments on the Bulls. Those assignments went to Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. LeBron can guard all 5 positions on the floor, and while he is not as good defensively as he used to be, he was once one of the most complete defensive players in NBA history. NBA Finals appearances and playoffs. Did you know Michael Jordan never made it to more than 3 NBA Finals in a row? But LeBron James has made it to a mind-boggling 7 straight. On top of that, Jordan didn't make it out of the first round of the playoffs until his 4th attempt, while LeBron James on the other hand has never lost in the first round. Some people may argue that Jordan's Bulls lost to Bird Celtics on 2 of those occasions, but they also lost to the Milwaukee Bucks on the other. Meanwhile, people don't give James a break for losing to a loaded Warriors team in the playoffs a few years ago. However, it's important to note that the Warriors were one of the greatest teams in NBA history, and James's Cavaliers were underdogs in that series. Jordan had a great coach. There's no denying that Phil Jackson is a Hall of Fame coach. The question is, who did James coaching his teams? He had subpar coaches like Eric Spoelstra and David Blatt. This is another important advantage that Jordan had. On top of that, Jordan played for 3 years under one of the best coaches ever, Dean Smith at North Carolina, while LeBron literally came straight out of high school. Are we also ignoring the fact that LeBron James is playing in a different era? The NBA was completely different in the 1980s and 90s, as back then rosters were made up of large big men that were not technically sound or skilled. Today's athletes are built differently and stronger physically. Guards were not even talented as a whole. In fact, right-handed guards were very limited when it came to using their left hand, and the ability to shoot the ball generally wasn't even impressive. Jordan depended on great players for him to win. It's actually funny how people today act like Jordan was the sole great player on those Bulls teams of the 1990s, and that's so wrong. Do you remember when Jordan left to play baseball in 1994? The Bulls lost in the final seconds of the Eastern Conference semifinals without Jordan to the New York Knicks. That Knicks team would go on to lose in the finals in 7 games to the Houston Rockets, so for anyone to suggest that only LeBron played on an all-star team would be totally wrong. In fact, the Bulls had 4 of the best players in the NBA on their roster, namely Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and Tony Kukoc. LeBron has faced more formidable competition in the NBA Finals. LeBron James might be only 4-6 in the finals, but when you look at just real numbers, you will realize that James' 8 opponents in the NBA Finals entered the playoffs with a combined .764 winning percentage to Jordan's .746. The Golden State Warriors a few years back brought 3 All-NBA players in Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, plus a 4th All-Star and All-NBA snub in Klay Thompson. It's a fact that Jordan never ever faced a team with that much firepower ever. The Warriors' addition of Kevin Durant would have been similar to the 1992 Trail Blazers after losing to the Bulls, then acquiring Hakeem Olajuwon. The Warriors won more games than any team in NBA history last year, and James still beat them, so they had to go out and add the second best player in the league to beat the Cavs. LeBron brought a world championship to Cleveland. Remember, Cleveland hadn't won anything in almost half a century, and while the Bulls too never won anything until Jordan got there, but at least Chicago had gotten the 1985 Bears. LeBron James winning the title with Cleveland was a huge accomplishment. LeBron has more pressure on him. It's a known fact that Magic and Bird made it easier for Jordan. Coming out of North Carolina, there wasn't much pressure on MJ, and he wasn't even the first player drafted in the 1984 NBA draft that time. On the other hand, LeBron was expected to be the second coming at just the tender age of 16. He was drafted number 1. He carried enormous expectations that very few athletes, if any, have ever had coming straight out of high school, and he was a star from his very first NBA game all the way up to today. And that's why I laugh so hard when people say that he doesn't handle big situations. LeBron's game is different from Jordan's. Most people will never consider Kobe Bryant to be equal to or better than Jordan, and why? Bryant was just too similar to Jordan. On the other hand, James is a very different player than MJ. James's gifts are far more diverse than just scoring. His vision on the court and his leadership on and off the court are something Jordan doesn't even come close to. It's these differences that put James in the conversation with Jordan.